Oh, come on. Don't be so dramatic. Didn't even hit you. Hello friends, this is Miro and welcome to my channel. Today I have a bit of a different video for you. I'm going to repot my Philodendron verrucosum again. And if you have been watching my videos for a while, you know that I repotted two of them last year. Just before this video I thought maybe I should pot them together, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Still, I do need to repot this one because it has grown. It has been cut back few times now, and the second one is actually smaller because I was more aggressive with cutting down that one. I was a bit more, let's say, a bit nicer to this one. I wasn't cutting it down so much. The reason why I want to repot it, aside from it growing so large, is that it needs a bigger pot. The pot is quite unstable, and if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw that I knocked it over several days ago. I did break one leaf, I think this one. We do have a bit of a breakage there, but that's fine. I think that's quite minor, considering the fall. It fell actually from the greater height than this. I could become like one of those tech channels to do a drop test. So the result of the drop test, very resilient. I actually tried to film a video about Philodendron verrucosum and care for Philodendron verrucosum several times. And I think this is probably the fourth video I'm trying to record on this philodendron. And for some reason I record it, I never edit it, and then when I look back, I'm not happy with it. But I am going to insert some of the scenes from that video that I think are a bit funny. We will talk a bit today about the care. I will repot it, and I do have some cuttings to show you so we can talk about propagation. I was gonna say something. Oh yeah. Oh no. No, I did not remember what I was going to say. It doesn't matter. Oh yes. I remembered actually what I was gonna say. I'm completely unprepared for this video. I do not have enough supplies. This is all the potting mix that I have. I'm not even sure if the pots are big enough. Let's hope they are. And I also don't have anything to tie this philodendron with. I have a bag of raffia twine that I use to tie my philodendrons. And when I was moving things around, I put that bag in a safe spot. Unfortunately, it seems that the spot is way too safe because I cannot remember where it is. So I'm going to use some rope today. I do not have the Velcro tape that everyone uses. I was never able to find that here. So I'm gonna use this rope, and this is not gonna be forever. This is just a temporary solution because I didn't have time to go out and buy raffia because I was cleaning. Plant care, spring is coming, all of that, you know. Last time I used a bit of worm castings and they worked out quite fine. I actually did not have issues with fungus gnats. A lot of people ask me. So no, I did not have issue with fungus gnats. I am out of worm castings as well. I'm basically out of all supplies. So today I'm gonna just put a bit of Osmocote in the pot, slow release fertilizer. Oh, I thought the instructions were in English. Okay, I think I translated the instructions a while back. One handful, I think that's one handful, is 30 grams. They suggest for 13 to 20 centimeters, you should use 10 to 15 grams. So that's a half a handful. Also, whose hand? I have big hands. So I think I'm gonna use half of a handful for this plant. The reason why I'm using slow release fertilizer is because I really don't mix fertilizer for my philodendrons. Mostly I have epiphytic plants, Hoyas and orchids. I do have quite a few aeroids, okay, let's not lie to ourselves, but I have become a bit lazy to mix in 3 batches of water. I have a batch for semi-hydro and for plants that are in organic media. I mix 2 batches of water. One is with pH down, the other one isn't. But that fertilizer isn't strong enough for aeroids, so I'm gonna use a bit of slow release fertilizer this time. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I have been using it on some other plants. They really had no issue with it. They basically just grew. So, see, it cannot stand. It's too big. Last time I was repotting this philodendron, I said I'm gonna turn this into a self-watering pot. Clearly, I have not done such a thing. So I'm not gonna do it this time either. I can keep up with watering. I think the mix that I made was quite good, so I was able to keep up with watering. This philodendron does require a bit more water. You can see it's a nice, healthy plant. There are a bit of yellow leaves, but those are the older leaves. All the new leaves are looking nice. I love how the leaves look like. The back of the leaf is a bit reddish. This is an older leaf, so it kind of fades away to green. On the newer leaves, it is very, very red. And then on old leaves like this one, it does fade to completely green eventually. And then the leaf dies and it turns to yellow. My first order of business is going to be to release it from the zip ties. Yes, I did have to use zip ties when I knocked it over, because that was the only thing around. I'm going to use the same moss pole, which is kind of small for it already, but this moss pole can be extended, so I will do that in the near future, right? When you see me repotting this plant in a year, you're probably gonna still see it on the same moss pole. I'm terrible with plant tasks. I also wanted to discuss in this video a bit of Philodendron verrucosum care. Now, this philodendron is quite different, in my opinion, than the rest of them. In the beginning, when I got this plant, I thought it was quite difficult. I no longer think so. It's just, you have to forget that this is a philodendron. Really think of it as a calathea, and you'll be fine. It prefers to stay moist all the time. It really doesn't like to be dried out. The leaves will become droopy if you let it dry out too much, and it does not appreciate it. Another side effect of letting your Philodendron verrucosum dry out is... Stop scaring me. Everything is still fine. Still fine. Okay, nothing broke. That's a good thing, and let's hope it stays like that until the end of the video. I don't know what my next step is. I think before my philodendron scared me, I started to talk about the care. Think of it as a calathea. This looks like I'm threatening you. I find that it does much better if you do not let it dry out, because when you do, you will get spider mites. This philodendron is extremely prone to spider mites, and it was maybe my biggest struggle throughout the summer that it did get spider mites several times. I'm gonna use this pot, which admittedly isn't much larger, but I don't think we need, I think we just need a slightly bigger pot to stabilize the situation. I have this pot too, but I think I'm gonna use it as a decorative pot. It does have a hole there. Maybe I should do a bit of a test. Let's see. Okay, if we put it in this pot, I mean, it's just slightly bigger. If we put it in this pot, oh, this one kind of looks too big. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in this pot. I'm gonna regret it. Okay. Looking back, a good thing to do would be to leave the moss pole in until you are done repotting. Well, aren't we now in a space pickle? I mean, you know, this philodendron fell from great heights. There's nothing I can do to it now to mess it up, right? I have a mix of coco coir perlite, not a bunch of perlite, and some bark. I do want this mix to retain more moisture because this plant does need more moisture. Let's just see if that fits. I put in too much mix. Let's see. That seems appropriate. Okay, I'm gonna add just... See, this is where a third hand would be good. And just a bit of slow release fertilizer. I'm not gonna add too much. And then finish off with the mix. I think we're gonna need more mix, but I want to put the moss stake in. Are you kidding me? This pot is also not deep enough for this. Fair warning, I'm terrible at staking plants. So, Do not expect this to be a professional job, okay? This leaf is a bit yellow, but I'm gonna leave it here because, you know, I see people cut off leaves all the time and I'm not a big fan of it. I do try to keep them as long as I can because plants are able to mobilize nutrients. So, you know, it's not all about the aesthetics. That's extremely unstable. I'm going to use a bamboo skewer, stake, whatever, to stabilize it. This helped me last time as well. I'm gonna use another one. So this is a good way to stabilize your moss poles, and I am going to zip tie this. If I had raffia, I would use that, but I don't. So I'm gonna just use zip ties. Yeah, a bit of the leaf got damaged now, I see when it fell, a bit of the tip. I'm not going to tie it too hard because I do not want to cut off the circulation. What the heck? Why is this like untangling headphones? Well, that's not too terrible. It's not how I envisioned this vine to be placed, but it's gonna have to do. I'm gonna do something about that. It's the workout. I don't know, you tell me, does that look good there? Something is not in a position that I want it to be. Yeah. See, if I had a bamboo stake, I would put it like this. Do I have another bamboo stake? No, because I put all of them in one pot. Do not put all the eggs in one basket, or in this case, all the bamboo stakes in one basket. Or in a pot. It's not a basket, Miro. Yeah, please, tangle. Here's this. Exactly what I wanted. I found some stakes. I think I'm going to use these ones. This is the thickest one. It's gonna use the thickest one. And let's see where we want to place this. Oh, I have no clue. Hope for the best. You know, start behaving. This is not how plants behave on this channel. This is just one Philodendron verrucosum. And that's actually one thing that I wanted to talk about. Philodendron verrucosum, or this one, I think this is the one they call Philodendron verrucosum insensii or something like that. I'm gonna make sure to double check that and write it. But it seems that Philodendron verrucosum is very good at branching out, or at least this one is. Yeah, that's not really stable. Why are we having all these stability issues, I wonder? I think soil will stabilize. I think we need more soil. Why do I always think something wants to murder me? Too many horror films in this childhood. Let's try to get this up. And this leaf is starting to piss me off. And that's not how I envisioned this either. Oh, it's gonna work. It's gonna work out. This philodendron has too much gene. It's like, stop branching out, and it's actually still branching out. It has, I think, 5 growth points the last time I counted. Now it probably has even more. What's wrong with this picture? If I put it here, it's a mess. Why is everything so hard? How does that look? It looks awful. I have done something. Okay, I did a bit of a cleanup. So this is the Philodendron verrucosum. I did not do the best job. Now when I look at it, I don't love it because there are 3 stakes in there. But I did get a feeling before repotting that this would be an excellent climber if you had that IKEA trellis, the kind that Nick Pelleggi has in his background. And I did think about potting my 2 verrucosums in kind of a wider and narrower pot so they could climb up that. I think that would be good. This already has 5 growing tips going from one plant, and I actually did cut some of them back and they branched out. So, you know, the tips that I cut back, instead of 1 growing point that I used to have, now I have 2 or 3 depending on which one. The more you cut it back, the more growth points it will have. This one I didn't even cut back, but I can see here it's branching out. This one isn't even that bad. The other one, the smaller one that I cut back more, that one is just going wild. I don't know what's going to happen with that one. It's quite a fast growing plant, I would say, if you provided the right conditions. This is a plant that comes from South America and it has quite a wide range there. It doesn't like to be too hot. It does not love the summer, at least this one didn't love the summer. It likes to be around 21, 22. It can withstand higher temperatures, but you will make sure to keep it watered, and you will have to check for spider mites regularly because this one attracts spider mites like crazy. I have to say I was a bit disappointed when I got this plant. I have never seen it in person before, so I did not expect the leaves to be so thin. They're kind of like lettucey thin. Over time, I did grow to like this plant. It's very velvety and the backs are red. The petiole is also fuzzy, which all of you will see in the B-roll. I do like it now quite a lot, but I just don't know how much I will be able to keep it growing upwards because I do think this one kind of gets very big. The leaves I don't think will get much larger than this one here. I'm pretty sure that's probably the maximum for this type of verrucosum. I haven't seen them get any bigger. The good thing about Philodendron verrucosum is it tolerates lower light. I kept this plant close to my northwest facing window, but off to the side kinda. And I also kept it a bit away, about 1 meter away, and it grew in both scenarios. It didn't really affect the size of the leaves. This leaf actually grew in, well, you probably cannot see that. So this leaf here actually did grow in low light and it's nice size of a leaf. I don't think this particular clone of a verrucosum or type of verrucosum gets large leaves. What I noticed is what influences the size of the leaf is whether it has to climb on something or not. If you give it support, they do seem to get a bit larger. And I do suggest you giving it support early on because the vines can kind of grow in a funky way and they are not very bendable afterwards. So if you can train it early on, do it. That is my suggestion. I water it once a week during the winter and in summer, sometimes even twice a week. In the beginning, it was in a very strange mix. And I did mention this before, it was in something that looked like cocoa peat, but it wasn't quite cocoa peat. It did drain really fast, it did not hold on to water, and I had to water it even every other day. It was crazy. I think generally this one would do really well actually in self-watering pots or in semi-hydro. So I do have a box here with my propagations, and I will get the box out of the way. I just wanted to show you where I keep my propagations of Philodendron verrucosum. This is one cutting that I recently took. It's in moss and just a bit of perlite. It's doing well, nothing is rotting. I make sure that the moss stays damp. And I'm just gonna put it here. I do have one that rooted. And this one is looking a bit, well, it's actually fine. It's just, I think it needs a bit more moisture. I think when the roots grow, it will be fine. And then this one, these all came from the other verrucosum, so you can imagine I did cut it back quite a bit because both of them take up a lot of space. And I think it will give me a chance to train the other one. Oh, is this? We're still not rooted with this one either. So this one actually did root. It was taken about a month ago, I think. We can see one root here, so this is gonna be a bit of a challenge to pot up. You can kind of see here a root. I will make sure to take a closer video of it. I did not try to root this in water. I tried to root it in perlite and honestly it did drop a bit. I know that some people tried to root this in water and it didn't really work out. So I put it in a bag, in a Ziploc bag with some moss and perlite, and it did root. I kind of tried to wean it off of that extremely high humidity because this one is just on 60% of humidity. It had a bit of a trouble adjusting to lower humidity, so I put it back in the propagation box, and I think what happened is that the roots were not long enough. I think there is just one root, so I think maybe it needs more time to develop a bigger root system, and I think probably needs to be established a bit more before you move it into lower humidity. It's not extremely difficult to propagate, but you can expect to face some challenges. I think probably the best method for propagating this philodendron would be air layering, so to put just some moss on the stem tied around the stem, and then when it grows roots to just cut it. You can do it this way clearly. This one did root, and I have no doubt that the rest of them will root, but it may just take a bit more time. I don't think this one would ship really well. This one did arrive to me okayish, but it did not have to travel a lot. I would not be very confident ordering this if I knew that it had to spend week or two in the mail. I really would not be confident about that. When you understand this plant a bit more, it's not that difficult. Really, it's not. The main pest issue that I had with this one were spider mites. Even when I had thrips on some of the other plants, they didn't really go on my verrucosum. That doesn't mean it's resilient to thrips. It's not. Nothing is. And I assumed that thrips would make quite a lot of damage on this plant, so I would not call it very resilient to pests, but one thing that this philodendron has going for itself is that it's a really fast grower. So it was about this size last year, and then all of this really doubled in size. And I'm sure if I had better conditions for it, I think it would grow even more. I don't think that I have the best conditions. I think I have just maybe mediocre conditions for this plant. That would be all for today. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, well, you can do that as well. I also now have a Patreon page, and the link to that will be in the descriptions below. Let me know in the comments, do you have a Philodendron verrucosum? Which type of verrucosum do you have? I know there are many different types. Is it an easy plant for you? Are you struggling with it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Was it a disappointment for you when you got it? Kind of was for me. I would like to hear. And yeah, I'm just gonna end with this perfectly red back of the new leaf on this cutting. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all staying safe, and I will see you very soon for our next video. Bye. Why am I putting my hand there? What's happening? When I read about plants that I have or that I would like to get, I do like to dig a bit deeper to find out more about them. Now, I don't do this for all of my plants. I usually do it for Hoyas and sometimes for my philodendrons. So I was reading a bit about Philodendron verrucosum. I was trying to find out about it as much as I could, and also because I wanted to make a very nice video for you guys. So I went all the way back to the date when it was published, to the original publication. When you first publish a plant, you will first write the description in Latin. Usually the description is slightly longer, but for Philodendron verrucosum it was very short, only 2 sentences. Now, I know that you're not supposed to read the Latin mumbo jumbo out loud because I am a movie buff and I do like horror films, so I do know what happens, but I thought, what can happen if I read the Latin stuff out loud and it's plant related? Maybe I can try and summon someone like Kaylee Ellen and she can bring me a philodendron. So let's try to see that if it will work, right? So I have the candle because that's what you summon with, and the body of Christ because, well, it's a nice way to drink wine. Nice excuse, right? Why do you have so much of it, Miro? Shut up. Anyways, I also do have water, so if we burn something, which probably was going to be my bangs. Okay, so let's see if we can summon Kaylee Ellen with a philodendron. Oh, I thought I could read this. I did used to learn Latin. So, Lamina foli lobis, posticis contiguis, venulis subtus prominulis. Hello? Kaylee? No, it didn't work. Oh well. I guess... Ooh, that's a bit of smoke. Let's put it away. Just stop being so smoky. Wow. Never do that again. But you know, the body of Christ. Well, wasn't that uncomfortable? Anyways, I would like to take some time to thank my patrons. A big shout out to my $5 patrons: Betsy Begonia, Bonnie Harris, Dinsla, Hoyas and Whatnots, Kathy L, Kelsey Jager, Mary, Melissa Walker, Nicole Ferranti, Vicky Dingler, Therese Gottman, Tom Ibbotson, Zlakov Niponi, and Anonymous. Also, a big thank you to my $3 patrons: Angelina Farnan, Becca Panyard, Brianna Phillips, Catherine G, Freehidden Osk, Ina Home, Nikki, and Dinglov. And a thank you to my $1 patron, Jacinta. Thank you all so much for watching the videos. Thank you so much for supporting me. And thank you for watching all the weird stuff. I'm just joking. I'm not weird. You are. Nah, that's another joke.
Not funny!
I really should end this now. I hope you're all well, and I will see you soon. Bye! Oh, okay. The fire.